Welcome to Toxicology, brought to you by Recovery Unplugged, the place where we talk about all things substance abuse, recovery, and mental health, with guests offering varying perspectives and viewpoints. Hosts Joseph Gordo and Jason Cabello share about their addiction and recovery and other serious subject matter through lighthearted yet candid conversation. All right, 3, 2, 1.
I counted you first.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Toxicology, folks. The greatest podcast covering addiction, recovery, and mental health in the known universe, according to Joseph.
And my opinion is the only one that matters.
Have we cited that yet? Have we looked and seen?
It's on the Wikipedia page.
You got the metrics on that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's on the Wikipedia page, which means
we'll add that
true.
in. We'll add that in. Wikipedia is always true. That's where I get all my news. What's up?
Man, I am more tired than I've ever been in my entire life. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna call bullshit on that one.
No. So my wife has been out of town in Europe for like 10 days at this point.
What?
So I am single dad, 3 kids, big job, coaching baseball, running a campaign. It's rough.
All right. I'll give it to you. I'll take it. You know what? I was gonna grill you on that a little bit, but since you're so tired, I'm gonna have you save all your brain energy.
You can grill me a little bit if you want, but I
was just gonna say you were probably more tired when you were dope sick, running around trying to get your next one, because that's exhausting.
That is exhausting. So this is on par. This is
okay.
On par. So back then my life was a shitstorm of bad stuff. Now it's a shitstorm of good stuff. Yeah.
That's good.
You know?
See, so that makes it 100 times better.
Yeah.
Are you? So I know we like to talk about the things that kind of irk us about what we hear in 12-step rooms, right? Do you,
Yes.
and especially like the little sayings and cliches, and not the cliches, but the sayings that you hear in the
Yes.
room. What about that one? My worst day sober is better than my best day using? Is that?
I don't have a lot of beef with that one. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
God, you like the bullshit ones, and then you don't like the ones that I'm not going to say it's a bullshit one, but we definitely do not like the same ones.
I mean, okay.
You hate on mine.
So
You hate on the ones that changed my life.
look, no, I don't hate on them.
Yes, you do. You want to go back to episode 2 episodes back?
You need to do some writing on that, bud. You got a resentment going.
Okay.
But I mean, so okay. I can see the logic of, man, there were some good days using. All right.
Yeah, I had some good days using.
Yeah. I had some as well.
Mhm.
You know? I mean, the time that a dope dealer paid me to run drugs to San Antonio and then decided to give me free tickets to go see David Copperfield as partial payment. That was great. That was a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave me drugs and magic show tickets. Like,
Wow. What did he make? What did David Copperfield make disappear? Because isn't his big thing, he always makes something really big disappear?
It was he made a car appear, and the license plate on the car was made of like things that the audience members had just told him, like letters and like someone's initials and someone's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
He should, you know how music is our medicine? They need to, Recovery Unplugged, they need to do a magic is our medicine,
do
a
a magic
magic-based, and just make your addiction disappear.
We could do it in California and get Neil Patrick Harris to be our PR person.
Is he a magician? Or
He's a magician.
He's a magician.
He's like
Neil Patrick Harris.
He's the president of like the Magic Academy or something.
Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser.
He does it all.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. No, he's a huge magician.
That's one of those words that becomes noise if you say it too much.
Magician?
Magician.
Yeah, I can hear it already.
Yeah.
I can hear it. How have you been? What
I'm
have you
good,
been up
but
to?
answer the question. Don't dodge it. I know you're tired, but your worst day sober is better than your best day using.
I mean, they're on par. Like, here's the thing is like, there's been moments in my using where I think of this one day where like I literally was on the steps of a church at midnight in downtown Laredo. Like, begging, crying to not get high anymore.
Yeah, but
terrible day.
But the saying doesn't say your worst. It's your best. Your best. I'm getting confused.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing. So my worst days sober have been difficult days, but the difference is at the end of the day, I can still look myself in the mirror.
Right.
And I know I haven't harmed anybody that I love.
Okay. All right. I'm starting to see it.
All right.
I'm coming around.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. Do you have a sober day that was worse than a using day?
I had because like you, I would like get these come ups, and my life was so nickel and dime that the smallest thing just felt like. So I even had a Facebook post about it. I'm gonna have to go back because I doubt I erased it. But I won like $100 scratch off with probably my last $3.
That's a lick right there.
And it was like I won $1 million. And I don't know where this came from. If I'm thinking like I try not to think like a mystic at all, but it was like my grandmother had died and I was going through a really rough time. And I was at that point in my addiction where I was putting myself in harm's way to get drugs. Whatever I had, this is when I was starting to rob people. Like when I wasn't just ripping people off anymore, I was starting to rob people at this point. So I was definitely in the danger zone.
Yes.
And I won a lottery ticket. Because it was like a really shitty day. I was staying at my mom's house. Her house flooded. And it was just like water almost up to your knee. And it was just like, fuck. And I had like $4 or $5. I think I had less than $5. And I bought a $2 scratch off ticket. And I won $120. And it was like winning the big lottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that put me on a winning streak. Because then I'm like, lotto tickets, if I only have a couple bucks, I'm going to buy one. And I won probably like 20, not in a straight row, but like, I'd say 2 out of 5 times I would get a winning scratch-off ticket. And then I thought this was going to keep on going. And then I'm at a self-checkout at Winn-Dixie, which is like the HEB of South Florida. And it gave me like $80. And like I had put like a 10 in and it gave me change for 100.
So do you think that this is like your higher power or the universe trying to be like, Jay, you're gonna get yourself killed or hurt. Here's a little bit of money just to keep you out of harm's way.
I really did think that. Or that it was my higher power saying like, let's just keep you high.
Okay, so those were good days. What about worst day sober?
My dad died.
Yeah.
My aunt died.
Yeah.
Not on the same day, but both very, very rough days for me. So I definitely had better days when I was using than those couple of days.
See, I mean, I feel like, I've lost some people in recovery, and while it's challenging, it's like you're able to be fully present for it. You're able to be present for the people around you. And I'm assuming that, they got to see you sober, right? So like,
yeah, you know what I think it is? And I just like, and you're right, because you know what I think it is, and it just came to me. It's perspective. Yeah. Because at the end of those days when you're clean, you could say like, yeah, my dad did get to see me clean. My aunt did get to see me clean. And I got to say some stuff to my dad that I really feel like, I wouldn't say closure, but I got to say some things to him that if I wouldn't had said them, it was always been in the back of my mind. Yeah. So that was, so.
Oh man, we're starting off real heavy today.
I told Jay, because our guest today, Jason Amato, is a dear friend of mine. And we talk about some serious shit sometime. And I told him if he makes me cry, I'm going to pop him in the nuts because I have that that wrinkle, that anti-wrinkle cream under my eyes. And not to give away all the Hollywood magic here, but if I do cry, I'm going to have a big white streak down my face and whatever.
You need to get some better under eye cream.
I get the good stuff.
Jack Black.
Jack Black.
It comes with like a little cooling gel roller thing under your.
All right. Maybe they'll sponsor us.
Anyway, let's get to our guest.
Okay, yes.
You kind of spoiled it already.
Did I?
But today's guest is...
Well, it'll be on the thumbnail.
Fair enough. A person in recovery, musician. He's the drummer for my personal favorite band. He's the director of something or another for ASP branding.
Total hunk.
Total hunk. He is a babe. A true bona fide babe. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Amato.
Poof.
Wow.
What?
Whoa.
That was insane.
Jason, David Copperfield ain't got nothing on you, man.
How'd you do that?
Ooh, I can't. A magician never gives away his secrets. You guys know that.
Were you about to say a magic person?
I don't know.
A magic man never gives away his secrets.
A magic man never does.
And that's true.
It is.
It's common knowledge. I read it on Wikipedia.
Jay, welcome.
Man, Jay,
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I'm super excited to have you on because we've known each other, what, like 5 years now?
Yeah.
And I've gotten to watch you grow, but I don't know a lot about you from before you got sober.
Yeah.
You know, so this is fun and exciting information for me.
Tell you the truth, I don't know a lot about me from before I got sober.
You should have watched the documentary that I had done on you. I did a little human interest piece on Jay when I was still living in Florida.
It was good.
Thank you.
It was good.
Jay was one of the first people when I came out from Florida because I never felt like I fit in too much in South Florida. And then I came to Austin and I was like, I felt a little bit more at home. And Jay was one of the first people at Recovery Unplugged who I saw because he was wearing like a Fred Perry shirt, if you know, you know. And he has a PMA tattoo on his face. And I was just like...
What is PMA?
What do you think it is? It's a lot of things.
Specifically, what is
it goes back to the music we
partial male anatomy?
But that's a good guess.
No, that is.
Yeah. There's a lot that I can't say. But it's from the Bad Brains.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Bad Brains thing. All right.
Positive mental attitude.
Oh, I like that.
The reason I got it is actually kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
It's a quick story. Is the reason I got it is so Joseph, to a little bit to know about me before I got sober. I was in a almost successful punk band.
This I knew. This I knew. I've seen some promo pictures.
Right? Young Jay, dude. Just active addiction Jay. But looking good. Heroin chic.
Still a babe. Still a babe.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. It was, it worked for me, you know what I mean, at the time. But we were touring. It was just like bullshit tours. It was just like tours that we put together. Sometimes it would be 6 shows. Other times, I don't know, just to go
Living
sing or on
rooms.
tour. Yeah. Or just like a bar with like 10 people in it.
just real DIY.
It was super DIY. But we had like a pretty good little cult following, and we were big where we were from. But we had all these shitty vans. So like from us to get to New York to California, it took 3 vans because they kept breaking down.
Oh.
And then we bought a van, and like we bought a van in Michigan, and then we got to Missouri, and there was something wrong with the van. And then we took it into the shop, and the guy goes, yeah, someone welded your entire frame together. This is like 4 different vans. So then we drove it again. He's like, don't drive this. And we're like, we're going to drive this thing. But we drove it. We drove it to Colorado. We met some friends there. One of them was
From New York, from upstate New York?
Well, this was this van, the first van lasted 1 day and it was gone. I don't know. I think it just sucked.
It just died.
It just wouldn't go up hills. It would go like 10 miles an hour.
It wouldn't turn left.
It was awesome when you didn't have equipment in it. And then when you had equipment in it, we were like,
Yeah.
okay, we can't drive this to California. But then the second van we drove from, I guess we made it to Michigan. I don't fucking know. But from Michigan to Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
No, we drove it to California because the guy fixed it in Colorado. It got fixed in Missouri and Colorado. And then we got to California and it caved in. And
Wait,
then
it caved in?
like the wheel well. The frame
shit.
gave out and it's just like and then we sold it to some guy that he's like, yeah, I don't want to drive it. I just want to park it and live in it. We're like, fuck it,
Well,
take it.
this is perfect for you then.
Then we bought the Road Beaver.
The Road Beaver.
Mhm. And the Road Beaver was like a 1976 RV that all of us lived in for months.
It must have smelled so bad in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Confirmed.
Yeah, it is not good.
Wait, Jay, so are you from upstate New York?
No, I'm from Long Island, New York.
Long Island,
Yeah.
which is South New York?
I don't know.
It's the city. It's Long
It's
Island.
close to the city.
Some of Long Island is like city, but there's also like some like farm country on Long Island, right?
Yeah, there is. That's more where I'm from.
From the farm country.
I'm closer to the farm. I'm
Did you grow
closer to
up
the
on a
farm. No, I'm closer to the farm country than the city.
So it's like one of those things. If you're not from like Manhattan or Brooklyn,
Yeah.
everybody says upstate New York. Like if you're from outside of the city, it's just considered. I mean, to the layman, it's
To-
like upstate New York.
Yes.
Is what you say.
is a
I mean, you don't, but
You don't. Well,
that's
Is
what
it?
people say.
that's
My
what people
Chemical
say.
Romance
Correct. It's not.
preferred.
It's not correct.
my Chemical Romance. They're from Long Island, aren't they? Or are they from Jersey?
I have no idea.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Don't
but
look at me with your elitist music fucking side eye.
If I bring up My Chemical Romance,
I love
So
My
anyway,
Chemical Romance.
let's talk about My Chemical Romance here.
and that's what me and Jason have is a chemical bromance.
We do. There's a lot
Our
of
chemical
there is a lot of
bromance.
chemistry between us.
We actually are starting a band called Our Chemical Bromance, and
That's genius.
it's just us.
Ooh, it's just covers of emo songs
Uh-huh.
in the style of the Backstreet Boys.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
I'll do it.
All right.
She's crazy enough to work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but real quick, long story short, the Road Beaver broke down. It was pissing fucking. Can I curse on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It was pissing out radiator fluid all over the Pacific Coast Highway, whatever that is
Oh,
in
wow.
California. And then it broke down. We're pretty much just like homeless guys, but we were all broke. And we're like, all right, we can't fix this thing. And then there was this mattress. I have a picture of it somewhere. That was like, oh, because you're vaping. Okay. There was a mattress that just said like, just keep going, like on the side of the road, spray painted.
And that was a sign from God.
Yeah. At the time, yeah, it was. And then it was like kind of strange. Like our van's broke now. People are pissed at us because we're blocking traffic. And then there's just like some shitty like old mattress that says. And then our mantra was like PMA, and we would listen to that song "Attitude" all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I got it tattooed on my face.
Well, it works in recovery.
It does
It
work
works
in
great.
recovery.
I'm also like a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I got like, mental health stuff. So I got to remember. It's like, take care of your mental health, man.
So, well, let's talk about that. So like, what kind of mental health stuff do you have, and like, how does it impact how you work recovery?
Yeah.
If it does. Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest obstacles for me to overcome in like my recovery, because a lot of times it's not something you like pick and choose when it happens, right? And I have pretty bad anxiety, which honestly nowadays is a lot better. And I think that's just from being in recovery.
You've done since I've known you. I mean, since I've even moved here, 2.5 years. Like you have changed. You have grown.
Yeah, I
know?
used to be way more nervous.
Well, you probably
about it.
also put yourself in less situations that are anxiety inducing,
Yeah,
right?
I live life in a lot less fear than I used to. And I just have that's the cool thing, right? I was talking to someone about this yesterday. Is like, there's like a recovery 2.0.
Yeah.
So you get sober, you're in recovery, it's awesome.
You don't
And
get
then-
high anymore.
Right.
But what happened for me, right, the getting high thing, I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like, this is good. I'm doing good.
Right.
But everything else in my life, like, scares the shit out of me. But I lost my train of thought. But anyway,
Recovery 2.0.
Recovery 2.0 is for me, it was when my identity stopped becoming about being a person in recovery.
Yeah.
And I just got back to I am my own individual self, and recovery is a part of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like nowadays, the last probably 2 years have been very much like, yeah, that's something that I love. Like I still am very involved in helping people, and I work in the therapy industry and the treatment industry, and very involved in that. And but at the end of the day, like that's not who I am. Like if you took that away, I'd still be me.
Yeah. And there's a conversation to be had about like, the idea that we get from AA or from NA, right? Like, once an addict, always an addict. And how like taking on that language for yourself, like believing like I am always an addict forever, can actually be detrimental to recovery, because some people get locked into that idea of themselves and never learn how to have a broader view of who they are, like what you're talking about with Recovery 2.0, or what's referred to sometimes in AA as like emotional sobriety is what it sounds like.
That's a better term for it.
Yeah.
I like Recovery 2.0. It's very millennial.
And then when you have that, I mean, I believe that once an addict, always an addict, asterisk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is inside of me. But I can see where I was at a certain point in my life, taking those words and making it a lot easier to say, fuck it. Like, this is just who I am. I keep relapsing. And, I wouldn't even say I kept relapsing. I had 7 years of stopping and then just resuming. I didn't have any recovery in there. It was like 20, 30 days in treatment. The second I got out, it was like I had to have somebody stop me and say, like, you're not relapsing. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, you never had any recovery, so there's no relapse if there's no recovery. And I was like, what?
Damn.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. I was like, well, I'll show you. I'm going to get double high today.
But so like when you hear people talk about like introduce themselves as I'm a person in long-term recovery, that's where some of that comes from, is the idea that like, okay, you were addicted to substances and now you're in recovery and changing kind of how you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like I talk to myself in a very negative way very often. So like that person in long-term recovery stuff kind of helps me a little bit to not feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I've definitely become more, I'm more behind that than I used to be. Because I remember we used to have these conversations before, because where I got clean, it was a bunch of fucking like hardcore junkies that were like, I'm a fucking junkie till I die, but I'm clean. You know what I mean? And it's like that mentality works for some people.
Never forget. Where you came from.
Yeah. Right. But for some people, it's like, I don't want to identify as a junkie anymore. Like, I wasn't.
Wait, was that a skateboard reference?
No.
That's the thing, right? Never forget with the elephant.
Oh, I don't know if that's a skateboard thing, but maybe.
Is it like a Harambe thing?
Mike Vallely or something.
But so let's rewind.
Yeah,
you mentioned
Let's
skateboards.
Oh, dude, you guys are gonna have to reel me in.
Yeah, we're riffing over
I will ruin your podcast.
So you're in a van with a bunch of dudes and you're getting high, right? I'm assuming you're not sober yet.
I was like, no, no, I wasn't.
Was this still kind of like things are okay and I get high, or was it getting into bad?
It was worse when I was in New York. So like that's always like the weird thing about my addiction was like if I removed myself from New York, I wouldn't do heroin. Mm-hmm. Well, if I could find it, I was going to do it. But
I mean, who wouldn't?
But I was just, when I was traveling, it was so bad, dude, because like my band, I was the only one that was a heroin.
I was going to ask, were you the only one who was?
I was like, I was the guy that was way worse than everyone else.
And you're the drummer, so it's not like they could just be like, get out. We'll replace drum.
Eventually.
Well, I'm sure they did, but it's a little bit hard to. It's harder to replace a drummer than it is a bass player.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. And then and it was
no offense to bass players, but you're expendable.
Yeah, you're expendable. You're expendable.
Except for Richard
Richie.
Wall
and Davy Jones.
Davy Jones is not expendable. You shut your mouth.
So it was like me and the singer that started the band too.
Yeah.
So It was, I think he had a soft spot for like, he cared about me.
Yeah.
And he put up with my bullshit a lot. And the rest of them are like probably like super borderline alcoholics and pretty addicted to cocaine.
But
not
see,
to fucking
and it
put
probably
their
made
shit
them
out
look
there.
better to
They'll never-
themselves. They're like, well, I'm fucking pissing myself drunk every
Yeah.
night, but at least I'm not this guy.
Well, the singer's been sober for like years now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
But he just got sober like a different pathway than AA, I believe. Maybe he is. I don't know. But that's kind of cool.
yeah.
But, you know, that's something people don't talk about is that when you're shooting heroin, like other addicts look at you like, oh man, I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Like,
crazy.
I
You're
had-
the one that like, they're like, I don't know, man.
I remember one time in San Antonio, Texas, I used to hang out with this guy who was a disbarred attorney that had a bad toupee, and he liked to shoot cocaine. And one time he had gotten a whole bunch of syringes, and to be nice, he gave me some nice, fresh, clean syringes.
Nice.
What a
And
guy.
Yeah.
and I forget what we were talking about, but I can hear it perfectly in my head where he's like, I may shoot cocaine, but y'all are on heroin. Nobody ever gets off that shit. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Hey, dude. I know they used to have a lot of, like, when we play our New York shows, there'd be like a lot of cocaine around,
Yeah.
and they would hide it from me. Because they're like, you got a problem. so like, I was worse. They would be like, yeah, we don't want to give
So
you our
people
drugs.
around you knew you had a problem. When did you start to think like, I might have
Oh,
a
dude.
problem?
I knew years before that. So I started, struggling. So really, and it comes back to that mental health thing we were talking about. 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. I went from this like, kind of, I think very much how I am today, like more outgoing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
more, and like, cause I just didn't have any of this other stuff going on. And then like one day just hit me over the top of the head and my personality did like a 180. I got like so introverted. I went off the deep end too. And I like didn't understand what was going on.
Just with like anxiety.
Anxiety and depression. And I was like, dude, like I'm defective. Like there's
Just
no,
like a cloud just floated in, like, and
yeah.
all
and,
of a sudden was just there.
And what's even worse is I like developed a complex about it and got like super in my head and didn't understand that you could like reach out for help for any of this stuff. I don't know. I feel like it
Right.
was less not available, but like less talked about.
Well, I think also, yes, right? Like teens today have much more language around mental health
Yeah.
and awareness than we did, but also like men in general, like we're not really taught to have vulnerable conversations.
Yeah. And it's even crazier when you don't even understand what's going on. So like I didn't understand it was like really bad clinical depression. I just thought like, man, like I'm a freak. And
Right. There's something
My
wrong
life
with
is
me.
a dark room.
no, like no one can know about this, dude. Like there's something seriously wrong with me and no one can know because no one's going to understand this. And that was like that's why I started using drugs. I started using drugs as self-medication.
Right.
And it was like, it wasn't opiates right away. It was Xanax first. And before that, like I partied a little bit. I actually hated drugs. I hate weed. Never liked weed. I would drink and I was like, this is disgusting, dude. I do not even like the way it tastes. I don't like the way it makes me feel. But
So what was the first chemical that you took that you were like, now this?
it was Xanax.
It was Xanax.
And it was a problem immediately. And that's like getting back to that question was like, first time I took Xanax, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a
Yeah,
problem. Well, actually, it was like, this is fucking awesome. I didn't even understand that it could be a problem.
Yeah,
That's how
right.
ignorant I was. I was just like, yeah, this is what it's here for. And then I started abusing that. And then the first time I took like a real opiate, like like those oxys or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And I was like, this fixed it. And this. I already knew I kind of had like a little problem with Xanax. So when I took the opiates, I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I never had a problem recognizing I have a problem. Almost off the bat, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be bad.
Mhm.
I like this way too much. And this is what I'm going to do every day.
And I think also like when you grow up being like a musically aware person, right? You already know stories of how that stuff ends, right? You know about Jim Morrison and Bradley
Yeah.
Noel and Sid Vicious.
And even
I knew
know
none of that shit.
You
really.
didn't know all that?
No, I
No.
didn't like give a
Relate
shit
into,
about that classic rock.
Oh man, the first time I did heroin, I was like
Well, I don't mean classic rock, but I mean just people who were into drugs. Like, I mean, I guess to you, Nirvana's classic
No,
rock.
not
right?
Nirvana. I don't think that's classic rock. But like all the like the 27 Club and all these like iconic music, which I love today.
Right.
Back in the day, I was way too much of like a pretentious music punk head.
I was too, man.
That like I was like, fuck that.
And I lost out on a lot of good years of like being able to see really good bands and stuff because I was such a fucking I was very closed-minded when it came to a lot of music.
One kind of music, and I like this, and if it's not that,
and for whatever reason, it was like if somebody was wearing like a shirt, I would associate that band with the guy who was wearing the shirt. So like Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all that, like the people who were wearing that shirt, like when I was in high school and stuff. I didn't spend much time in high school, but like junior high school, like I was
never
like,
made it to high
I don't
school.
like these guys at all. You know what I mean? And then I held like a grudge to the music, and then once I started listening to some of that stuff, I was like, this shit's pretty good, you know? And the punk rock scene and the hardcore scene in particular is so divisive that even like, you know, growing up, it was like, even like calling people punk rock was like kind of derogatory in the crew that I hung out with, because it was all like the anti-racist skinhead guys who were pretty,
scared the shit out of me.
Pretty thuggy. They like to fight and beat people up, and you know it was not the most open-minded crew of people, but a lot of people evolved out of that, and you know became much better people,
right? Yeah, and I think even like us, like nowadays, like I'm 31 now. I listen to like some like easy listening. I listen to some easy listening. I'm not listening to punk music anymore. I do sometimes.
Not
as much.
Yesterday I was jamming out at Residential at Recovery Unplugged, title sponsor.
Recovery Unplugged.
And because I got some
where the magic happens.
I got some new equipment out there, and in like 20 minutes we went from Lizzo to Argentinian rock music to Danzig to the Pixies.
Yeah.
Nice. And one of the techs was sitting there, and she's just like, what music are you into? Like, this is...
I like female vocalists nowadays.
Oh my God.
I am a sucker, dude. Something pretty. Just give me that, and I will.
There's a girl named Amy Echo. She has 2 bands. One was called Human Waste Project. It was like they were kind of parallel to Snot back in the day. The band Snot. And then she had a dance band after that called The Start. Okay. And both phenomenal.
Madison Cunningham is one of my new favorites.
Dude.
Oh,
someone
man.
showed me her, and I was like, "This is good."
That's some good like singer-songwriter stuff. Angel Olsen is one of my favorites.
All right, what are we talking about here, guys?
I know.
I did it again.
Jay,
I did it again.
Let's get you sober, Jay.
So,
why does Angel Olsen always change the subject? Why can't I just talk about Angel Olsen a little bit more? I'm just kidding.
But so you got sober at Recovery Unplugged.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you tried to get sober?
No.
So what did your journey, once you actually started actively seeking recovery, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try not to like go into this deep fucking crazy thing. Like everyone else, there was probably 10, 15 times of trying to do it on my own before seeking professional help. So one of those times was just going to a Suboxone doctor and saying, dude, just give me this and everything will be better.
Yeah. Put me on the pills that make you not get high.
Yeah. And then I sold those for heroin. It was a nice little business model for a little while.
No, it's a common story.
I shouldn't joke about that so much, but that's what I did, and then I actually tried it for a little while, and then I stayed sober for like 2 or 3 months, and it was like, say what you want, my quality of life improved drastically those 3 months that I took it serious.
Right.
The only problem was I had no tools.
There was no internal growth there.
No, there was no internal growth.
Yeah.
And years later, I understand very well that's a big crucial. Not to say you can't do that on maintenance. Why not?
Plenty of people lead productive lives if they.
So that was my first introduction. We're like, oh, there's relief, and like I can find this. The only issue was when my dope dealer hit me up one time. He's like, "I'm good again." I was like, "Yeah, well, cool. I'm coming over."
Yeah.
And then I was. Is right after I got back from California. I was 23 years old. And that's a crazy story. I'm not going to go into it. But I got back and my band, and like I got back and got high immediately.
Was that the time with your grandmother when your grandmother saw you?
No, that was later on.
Okay.
But that was my grandpa passed away, and he was like on his deathbed. He was in hospice, had cancer, and like again, no tools whatsoever. I was like a little better in California, and I was like healthier and not doing heroin every day. Flew back to New York because they're like, hey, your grandpa's not gonna make it, so can you want to come say goodbye? And I did that, but like the first thing I did when I got off the plane was just like go pick up, which sucks. I regret that a lot. That took priority over, being there for my family. I was there, but I was high, which I hate that. But then I just kept using, obviously, and they came back. The van broke down again. What the fuck? The beaver, the road beaver. It broke down. They said, dude, there's no way. We're just going to get our stuff shipped back home and we're coming home. So they came home. I'd probably been using it for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I looked just like a mess. And they saw me and they were like, you're gone.
Out of the band or going to rehab?
Out of the band. Yeah, out of the band. And then, and it was so dramatic. I cried.
No.
I loved that band so much. But then after that, I think I got a little more, and then I went to treatment for my first time on Long Island. And first time I went to treatment, I stayed sober for like 5 months, but I wasn't doing anything. And like just speed up the story. That I repeated that. So I turned 24 a couple days into my first treatment, and then from 24 to 26. I went to so many treatment centers. I spent more time sober than I think I did getting messed up because I was always in a treatment center.
Yeah.
Right.
I spent like the next 2 years of my life, like every birthday, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving.
So you
somewhere.
were doing the shuffle. You'd be in treatment for 30, 45 days, get high for like 2 weeks, and then go back to treatment, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think there were some times where it was like a little more time. I'd get 3 months or something like that. And I also left a lot of those. Like I would stay for like a week and just bail.
So,
Oh, you were that guy.
Kinda.
God.
where were
One
you?
time I got arrested when I left.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Where were you mentally when you were going into these places? Like every time would you go in and be like, I'm going to actually try to do something here? Or were you going in saying like, I just need a little break and then I'll come back out and get high? Or was there any time when you thought like, this is the time that I'm going to do it? And then.
No. I mean,
No. Okay.
except for, that's not true. Early on, maybe like the first 5 or so, it was always out of sheer necessity. Like I was so dope sick. I was out of money, and like I lived at my parents' house, and they were like, dude, fuck you. Like, what the hell are you doing? And they'd be like, yeah, like you gotta do something, man. And so it was always I was always placed in a situation where I had no choice but to, it was either like kick cold turkey or like go somewhere, maybe get some, comfort meds. And then, and I'd, sometimes I'd stay and like, but I wanted to get it. Right. Like, even though I think at the time, I just genuinely thought I couldn't get it because it's just the switch didn't turn on yet. And like, I tried to understand everything that I was learning, but I was just like, this makes no sense to me. And then, so none of that kind of seeped in, and I never like got any of that experience or like related.
So what did it make sense to you? Like, was it the part where they're like, say the serenity prayer?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it that part? Like, I'm going to pray and not get high? Or was it
I think
triggers, or was it the brain stuff? Like,
no, I think I always understood the brain stuff. It was the big book. Like I couldn't grasp, not the big book. That's unfair to say. It's like, the spirituality piece, because I was just spiritually bankrupt.
Like be of service to other people and I won't get high. Like,
I was, I was like super resentful at spirituality. But at the time I thought that meant God. Yeah. And like the God that I didn't like. Right. So I always had to struggle with that resentment, which now I look at it, I was like, it's such bullshit. Yeah. But, I always had to struggle with that resentment. And then the last maybe year of trying to get better, I remember I went to this place in Jersey, and I knew, I was like, I ain't gonna stay sober. So I told them, because I didn't want to get high anymore, but like this shit just wasn't clicking with me. I had no ability to be honest either. I just thought I was like the biggest piece of shit in there. Come to find out, I really wasn't. Like nothing I did was
Weren't
like,
even top 5.
no, dude, I was gonna like a bitch compared to like I didn't do anything that bad.
Right.
But that was what kept me from getting better, was like I couldn't open up. I couldn't be like, hey, I screwed my parents over. Hey, I stole from these people. I was like, no one's done this. No one's ever done this. They'll look at me and I'll be kicked out. I swear to God, like,
You stole for drugs? Get out of here.
I was just so naive to all that. And then that time, I literally was like finishing up that treatment. I was like, I got nothing. Awesome place, like such a good place. And I think they planted a seed. But I told them, I was like, I want to go to another, can you find me another place to go to? And they found me another place to go to. So I did 2 treatment centers back to back.
Yeah.
And I thought, as long as I stay in treatment, I won't get high. And then
I think there's a point in time for a lot of addicts where it's like, I don't want to get high, but if I'm not in treatment, I will get high.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just stay in treatment.
Yeah.
Like when I was at the place in Mexico, like I knew, like, if I could just stay there, I'd be okay. You
I think
know?
it's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think I forget that sometimes. Like that literally was a resource for me not using drugs. So like I just need to be
Somewhere
institutionalized.
safe.
Yeah. And then
Did you have anybody in your life who you saw it work for, that you were like, this person's doing it, so maybe I can?
I had one guy.
Yeah.
It was one guy. It was my first sponsor. His name was Brian, and it was back in New York. And this dude did a lot for me. He was so patient with me, dude. I feel bad. But and it's cool because to this day, like me and him are actually really close now. But he knew I wasn't getting it, but he stayed with me every step of the way. And so he was with me through trying to go through the steps, trying to get sober. And then he was with me when I was fucking up really bad. And that probably like 3 or 4 times over. And this dude never, gave up on just being there for me. Sometimes it was as a sponsor. Sometimes it was just as like, hey man, let's just talk about this.
So what was different about the last time you went to treatment? Like what changed,
Yeah. And this is a huge Recovery Unplugged shout because you guys did something different that worked for me. So I think I was ready, first of all. The thing that led up was I overdosed, and that scared me. And then I was just at like my real rock bottom, spiritual rock bottom. Different than like,
yes,
that was the difference. Was like, it wasn't like I ran out of money and people are pissed off at me. I was like, oh,
right,
yeah,
I'm hurting.
I'm an empty shell of a human.
I am hurting, and like that was the surrender piece for me. But then when I got to getting into Recovery Unplugged, the thing that always kept me from getting better was feeling different, and not being able to open up. And like I walked into that place, and like immediately people were like super welcoming and nice to me. And you go to treatment in like New York and New Jersey, that doesn't happen.
Like that?
Like, well, because like, right, they have the, there's already that stereotype of like, Northeast New Yorkers not being very friendly.
right.
But then you throw like a bunch of Northeast heroin addicts, and they're like definitely not friendly people.
Well, I saw this thing the other day that said that New Yorkers are kind, but not nice.
Yes.
And people from LA are nice, but not kind.
New Yorkers are the best people in the world.
Yeah.
Literally, they will help you with anything. But like, don't be an idiot.
Just don't look
Don't
at
be
them.
an idiot.
Yeah.
Don't say some shit that's gonna piss me off. But like, if you need help, I'm gonna help you.
Yeah.
But don't
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck over here.
So I walked into Recovery Unplugged. Off the bat, met some people that I liked. And it was like super welcoming. I was like, oh shit, dude! Like there's an ounce of social engagement.
Yeah.
I haven't had that. I haven't felt comfortable with that in years. So off the bat, I was like, this is okay. I could do this. I was psyched because I walk in there like, I'm a musician. I'm going to show these guys what's up.
Did you?
Was that back when we only had the electronic drum kit?
Yeah. Yeah. But I had like, it sounds funny, but for any musicians out there, you know, that like needing help, it sounds funny because I had like this level of confidence because I knew I was like a musician. And I like that. I knew I was pretty good at it. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this little shred of confidence walking in going like, I know there's something that I'm good at and something I can lean on. And that was it. Like that was the only thing.
Almost like a foundation for some self-esteem.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was, I had zero self-esteem anywhere else. I had 1 ounce of self-esteem behind a drum set.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
It's kind of cool.
That's super cool.
And that was able to get me talking. And then I got there and met the therapist that like just launched me.
Who was it?
It was Jen Holbrook. Yeah. And she just launched me, dude. Like she worked her clinical magic on me and got me to finally get honest about like all the stuff that I'd refused to tell any other therapist.
I can hear her in my head right now.
Oh, she was so good, dude.
When she gets on a little rant and is just like talking at you and like way too much information.
She made me, and this leads into everything, but she made me write down every bad thing I've ever done in my life, everything that I wouldn't tell anyone.
Wow.
And then when I went into her office, I handed her the notebook, and she's like, "No." She handed it back to me. She's like, "You're gonna tell me all this stuff out loud."
Oh, shit.
And I remember sitting there, and I just like trying, like I was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you." And then I like opened my mouth, and words wouldn't come out because I was like, that was the one thing that kept me holding me back, right?
Yeah.
So I sat there. We probably sat in silence for like, it felt like 20 minutes, probably like 5 minutes.
What's wild though is that at the time you already thought of yourself as a piece of shit.
The biggest, like that was all my shit was guilt and shame.
But you could not bring yourself to say any of the reasons why to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did that. I remember crying like a baby. And yeah, like I remember just that was huge. You ever have one of those good cries?
Yeah.
One of those good rehab cries?
Yes, I did.
I like to watch the videos of soldiers coming home and surprising their families.
Oh, dude, it will make me cry.
I'm not that patriotic, but that'll get me.
Doesn't it make you cry?
Every time.
You know what makes me cry sometimes? Oh, this is so embarrassing.
The dogs when the soldiers come home.
That'll get me going. Dude, like there'll be like really inspirational shit. It'll be like America's Got Talent or like like it'll be like some like beautiful story about this family and they get up there and kill it and I'm like, yes. Yes. You get it. Like that, it's funny. Anyway.
That's pretty good.
Now you know how.
Now I know that
how sensitive I am.
America.
So you get to treatment. You've got some self-esteem. You feel comfortable for the first time in a while. You start to share some shit that you don't feel like sharing.
Yeah. Right. So easy way to say it is all this time, I still have the resentment against the spirituality piece. I still have the complete inability to look at myself from a 12-step perspective. Mm-hmm. But the thing that was different about Recovery Unplugged, now I will say this, it was a mix of me genuinely wanting to stop for the first time. I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
You know, like, there was that, I had enough.
And here's a hot take. You won't hear this a lot of places, right? This is my opinion.
Go ahead.
Not Recovery Unplugged. Treatment does not fix anybody. Treatment creates an environment for individuals to fix themselves.
Right.
That's and so that's it, man. Like, I wanted to get better. And then, thank God, I found a place that had the resources and abilities to actually cultivate and facilitate that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. But the cool thing is, this whole time, I'm like entertaining the idea of working the steps, but I'm not doing it. And it took me a while. Even after I got out, it took me a while to really do the steps. But when I started looking at these things they're talking about in the big book and all this stuff, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm already doing this stuff. And that's what really helped me. So it was like this reverse of, do I have a spiritual concept? Yeah, I'm feeling it with this community, right? Like I'm feeling that. There was some work too, like I talked about my grandfather before, and like being able to like use him as a tool to like talk to someone up there. So I'd have conversation with my grandpa because I was like, I felt comfortable talking to him. So that was my way of praying. So that happened at Recovery. That happened in that big field in the backyard. Now there's like a bunch of apartments there. Back in the day, it was like the mystery. You never knew it was beyond the fence, you know?
Hold on one second. Grant, could we add an extra half hour? Because I know we're at 12 o'clock here and we're just scratching the surface. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sorry,
Same vibe.
guys.
Same vibe. No. This is good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh man, I talk too much.
No, this is good.
Okay. But yeah, so that all happened. And then when I went back and looked, and then like even like 4-step, I already wrote down all my shit to Jen.
And for those who don't know, the 4th step is...
Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Which then leads to the 5th step when you tell somebody all this stuff, which is like kind of getting the weight off your back to at least be like, okay, I got that off my chest. Now let's continue forward. So.
And cool, right? So I'm already kind of at step 5 in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not like I had to go back and
right. So
really...
there's a difference between taking the steps and working the steps. Like taking the steps you can do with somebody just sitting down, and then working the steps is when you actually dig a little bit deeper.
Right. So Recovery Unplugged got me to the place of being able to like have people kind of take me through the principles of all the steps, right? Which is so sick because they never like... So, like, you have to do this. It was just like...
It's like Mr. Miyagi style. Like, you go outside and you're like waxing on, waxing off. And like, you just did your 6th step.
So I got inceptioned, yeah.
So I know you met all the guys from Nolo when you were in treatment.
Yeah.
And that y'all started making music together almost immediately.
Yeah.
So Nolo is your band.
That's my band.
Yes. But I guess my question is, how much did those guys in that band also contribute to you getting sober? Or did they? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, absolutely. I think my phone's going off or something.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I didn't meet any of those guys till I was like 6 months sober. I met CJ, if you know CJ.
Yeah.
And it was like me and CJ just riding it out in a very awkward way. We were just like, well, what do we do? We're sober, no one else is. I guess we'll just hang out. And we played a lot of music. And then
a weird combo too, like a punk drummer and like this kind of soundscapey, synthy keyboard
but
player.
CJ
guy.
is more punk than all of us.
CJ is
He's the coolest dude ever.
He is pretty cool.
Anyway, so yeah, I met the guys, and where the guys really immediately, I was like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I was always the
couple
guy.
Canadians.
Couple Canadians and a guy from Detroit. That's what I was looking for my whole life. And I knew that. Like, I knew that I needed to meet a couple Canadians to be okay.
Ragtag group of misfits.
What show is it where they go, title of your sex tape? Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I like
couple Canadians and a guy from Detroit. Sorry.
That's the title of my sex tape. Anyway, they played, I think, an even bigger part in my long-term sobriety because to this day, I mean, that's like a crucial part of my, that is literally my community, but crucial in like when shit hits the fan, when shit's going down, like those are the guys that get me through.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. When I went through, I'd say that whole 6-month kind of year scope when I got through, there's like a bunch of us that stayed sober. So it's my immediate, like the band.
Yeah.
The band and Ashley.
Yeah.
Is the immediate. Because Ashley just gets grouped in, right? And then there's, all these other people that are right there, like really, like they're my family. You know what I mean? But it goes way bigger than that. So I probably have this community like 10... I legitimately like 15 people that we all started the journey together which I think is like pretty lucky. I don't know if everyone gets it.
That's good odds. And it's cool. Is like, since I've been watching you, right? Like I can see now like where the circle starts to widen, right? Like eventually Ashley brings on Nicole into the crew, you know, and then Jono and all these other people who start to kind of make up, you know.
And it's great because I had my crew in Florida Recovery Unplugged, and now it's like expanding and it's all becoming this.
Isn't that cool?
One big organism. Yeah, because like some people that I went to treatment with now are higher ups at Recovery Unplugged who work with Ashley's sister and who work with, you know, and it's such a community place. Recovery Unplugged. Build your community.
Do a little magic. Play a little music.
Well, when we were talking about treatment doesn't fix anybody, right? One of the things that I've always been real big on is that like what helps people recover comes down to other people, right? Like the place that I got sober at, it was a totally decent treatment. So Starlight Recovery, shout out Starlight. But like I remember one specific conversation with my therapist, Maureen, when I told her I was an asshole and she said she didn't think I was. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I met her.
Yeah, that's right.
You told me that.
Maureen, yeah. So like I remember that, you know, I remember the tech that talked to me at 2 a.m, who was also at that conference last week, you know?
Those are the moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like you have moments with people and you have moments with maybe with the Nolo guys or with CJ or whoever that like something shifts. Yeah. And it's all
you don't forget, right? Like there's those moments that stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, the rest of my life has been like a little over 5 years, but I don't imagine those things that changed my life are just going to go anywhere.
And what is life if not a series of moments?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's experiences.
So on the other side of that spectrum, getting close with people that you go to treatment with and hanging out with, and then these people don't make it.
Yeah.
That has to be one of the hardest things that I went through, because I remember, I think in like a 2-month period, I probably was coming up on like 9 months. And then like 4 or 5 of the people that I was in treatment with, 3 of them OD'd. One of them got into a car accident and the other one got murdered. And it was just like reality hit so fast because everybody's on this like pink cloud where everybody's hanging out. We're going to meetings.
Like nothing can go wrong.
Right. Yeah. Like it's like that scene in the movie when things are going so good and
everybody's got jobs at like McDonald's and shit.
Honestly, and then what a beautiful time in recovery.
Oh, yeah. Like the early simple times.
The first year, it was like walking on fucking clouds, dude.
Yeah.
I met my best friends, and we don't have any responsibility other than just having fun.
Yeah.
And like that.
And learning about yourself.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
And then like you're learning about yourself, and you're probably the most open that you have been in a long time.
Absolutely. Oh, it's like the first time I'm telling everyone
your
this. Like,
feelings are there again. So you're enjoying life for a first time. And like for me now, coming up at 5 years clean, or coming up just passing 6 years clean, sorry. You know, I got clean at 42. So I was a late bloomer at this, but like I'm seeing people who I grew up with, people who are my age, who are going through like the bad part of the midlife crisis now. And I'm just like getting started at being like the equivalent of a responsible 20-year-old. You know what I mean?
Get that,
so it's like,
did y'all also, I used to cry.
Oh yeah.
Like happy cry. Real quick.
I still do.
Like a Ryan Adams song would come on the radio and I'd be like, oh.
I cry a lot. I cry a lot. I don't know why.
But like healthy crying?
Yeah, there's like healthy cries.
Yeah.
I think every cry is a healthy cry.
It's good. I like that.
Okay. It's healing.
Yeah.
Because you're letting the emotions out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had enough of bottling them up. But a good happy cry, fuck yeah, dude. Let it out.
I think what Jason was getting to though is, you know, that being a person in recovery comes with, you know, getting a little bit used to watching people not make it.
Yeah.
And I know you dealt with a pretty big loss pretty early in recovery. I mean, you must have had, what, like 3 years?
3 years. I don't even know if I had 3. I think I don't know. Doesn't matter. But right around that mark. And here's where I make you cry. So make sure. I gotta be because I'm about to get serious.
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
cry.
All right.
So this stuff's hard for me to talk about. I'll tell you off the bat. I have no problem talking about it though, but I sometimes do get emotional because it's still something that's very, it hurts a lot still. You know what I mean? God damn it, I already feel it coming up. So yeah, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about it. So, you know, Jason, Joseph, no, but almost all of my early recovery, I met my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Britton, pretty early on. And I, you know, she was just a staple in my life, the whole time, my entire sobriety. I mean, yeah, it's funny, dude. It's like, I was like obsessed with this. It was like, that was the only person I cared about. And if she was still here, she'd still be the only person I give a shit about. Like, you know, that I love. But off the bat, I was just like, this is the and I never thought I had a chance with her. Like, I never thought I had a chance in hell. Because she's very pretty. She's like so cool, dude. She's like this metal chick, this like punk rock chick. And I literally like was just like, God, I was like, I put her on the pedestal for sure.
Yeah.
And we were friends for, you know, probably a year before, maybe like 9 months, a year before we started dating. And she'd always have like be dating other guys in the beginning. I'd be like, fuck those guys. But I'd still be friends with them.
You were in the friend zone.
Yeah.
Britton, I don't think that guy's any good for you.
I wasn't like that. I was like, but yeah, it was very much like I'm playing the fucking long game, dude. But I'm a swoon her and get her to like me. And then one day out of nowhere, she's like, hey, you want to hang out? And I'm like, I was like, yeah, maybe. No, but I'm like,
so you go through that like, I'm there for you. Yeah. I'm there for you. And then I'm just there.
Well, the cool thing was, I think it's very aligned with recovery, is like, I got to know her before I dated her. And I think that's like the coolest thing. You know what I mean? So I really got to know her as a friend, and then, you know, the second she was like, I'm interested in you and more than a friend, I was like, well, fuck yeah, let's go. And it's cool. We hung out. You ready for this, Joseph? Yeah. We hung out one time at Sahara House when I was the house manager in the manager's room. Yeah, I know.
I bet you that made it more fun.
Oh, it's so much more fun. And but I don't think I was supposed to do that, but whatever.
Recovery Unplugged does not condone house managers having women over to the house.
Yes. Sorry about that. But it was love.
Love is love.
It was love. And I swear to God, from that first day that we hung out until the next, I think we dated for like 2.5 years. And there were some bumps along the way, but like, we never spent a day apart. And it was like, it was just, I don't know, you guys get it. Like, yeah. I
remember when you came to Miami and I'm like, cool, me and Jay are going to hang out. And the whole time he's just like, you hang up first. No, you hang up first.
Did I do that?
I mean, I met my wife in treatment.
Yeah.
And we started dating when I had like 45 days sober. And like, what's weird is like, I'd had like infatuated, like, you know, relationships before, but like, it sounds like what you and Britton had was like very similar to us. Like, you know, it's just like, you're my person. Like, maybe it's lovey-dovey sometimes, maybe it's not, but like,
didn't matter. It was easy, right?
Yeah.
It just came natural. And that was like this awesome thing. And like, we both had our shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we both were very far from, like, it was not like the perfect relationship.
2 train wrecks. It comes with the territory.
2 people pretty much early recovery. Yeah. Learning who they are. And I'm so grateful for that, because we got, even though it was a short time, even though it was like 2.5 years, we got to live so much life together, and we got to learn it was like, like that, it's that crucial time in a person in recovery's life where it's just like this exponential experiences and learning and growth. And I got to do that all with her. At a certain point with her daughter lived with us for a pretty long time, and I got to see what it was like to raise a kid for a little while, and that I still talk to her daughter. And that was like one of those experiences that I would not trade for anything in the world,
I remember seeing that. That was when I first moved to Austin, right about the time when I think that she got her daughter back and you were kind of like stepping up. And I remember just seeing the growth in you because you were just like, yeah, this is the way things are now. And this is, you know what I mean? It was just like, I'm going to be there for my partner and her kid because that's just, that's what I'm going to do.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was like, at the time, that was my idea of like the perfect life.
Yeah.
And I think if it was still an option, I would very much be doing it. Because I was very happy. Like I was very much like, I don't need anything else.
Right.
I want to, have a family. I want to be with this person. And if that's the way life's going to go,
cool.
Fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Right. I was very happy.
So I don't want to be insensitive, but
no, go ahead.
So what happened?
Yeah. What the fuck, Joseph?
Right?
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, tell us the part that you don't want to tell us.
I know. I think I'm dancing around it. I wanted to make sure that I do a good job of remembering her.
Right.
And like all the good shit. Because I don't like thinking about the bad shit. Yeah, so what happened? It's the worst. And this is what I think I have a really hard time talking about. I mean, so she had like 2.5 years sober. I think I had 3 years sober. She had 2.5 years sober when all this shit started happening. You want like the uncensored version of it?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was struggling because she had a boyfriend before me that she loved very much. That passed away.
Was also part of that whole crew, correct?
No, he was never our crew.
I'm thinking of the.
Oh, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Jacob. Sorry.
Jacob also, an amazing person. She was like best friends with Jacob, and Jacob was part of their crew back in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. But
I'm sorry. Go back to the boyfriend who she
had a boyfriend, and like I think he'd been passed away for a couple years before we started dating. But it was something that it was like a really traumatic experience. Like,
well, and it's hard to work on shit like that and move past it when you're getting high. It's
absolutely.
Almost impossible.
I mean, it is impossible, right? So what ended up happening was she's like, hey, everything else is pretty good, but there's this one piece of my life that's just like, it's just debilitating. She's like, I can't get past this. It's so present that it like ruins my day to day. So we started looking for therapists and everything, and she went there. She's like, I just don't like talk therapy. So she decided to try ketamine treatment, which I don't know. I'll say less about that. To each their own. But she did this. In the beginning, it worked well. And then it brought up a lot of unexpected shit that she wasn't expecting outside of the experience she was trying to treat. Mm-hmm. And that fucked her up. I know it did. That's when shit started to get weird. And
do you remember the moment when you thought that things were starting to turn?
Yeah. We got very disconnected. And that was tough for me. But pretty much what ended up happening is like she started, because she would like go and get those infusions and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then they gave her like this take-home spray.
The lozenge. Oh.
The boosters. I guess, I don't know what it was. And
more ketamine. That's what it was. Right?
Yeah, and no fault. She was going through a tough time, an intense experience, and then she had this stuff that helped, and She started
Prescribed too.
She started abusing it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know she started abusing it. And that probably was happening for a little while. And then she just wasn't being herself. And it came to a head, and we got into an argument. And I was like, hey, I need to step back and take a break. And then that actually led, that's not my fault. I'll say that off the bat, like, just so people know, like, you can't assume responsibility for other people's actions, right?
Yeah.
But I left the house. I went to go stay with the guys, and she ended up getting high that night. And then Joseph, you actually came through in the clutch and got her into Recovery Unplugged in Florida.
We got her that detox scholarship. Yeah, I remember.
am super grateful for that.
I bought her flight with my Southwest points. I forgot.
I remember that.
You, I think Obanowski paid for all her meds, and like that's that shit. You know what I mean? Like, so thank you for doing all that. And then it seemed like things were getting better. It seemed like she went to treatment. She came back. I was pissed because that's like my biggest regret in this whole thing is I was selfish. And then I look back at the whole situation. I wish I would have had more compassion. And
You
I
were
wish
mad at her?
I was mad. I was scared.
Mhm.
I think more than anger, it was like I was just driven by fear.
Yeah, well, I mean, anger is a secondary emotion, right? So you were scared and you were mad that she made you scared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. And it made me shut down, and it made me just say, like, you do you. I'm going to figure my stuff out. And it took me a while to do that. And she was doing good it seemed like she was doing really good. And I think she was. And then, all right. So then what ends up happening? I'm kind of like putting it off. She's over in sober living. I'm living at the guy's house now where I still live. And she's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, can we just have a conversation? It's probably like a month and a half that we didn't really talk. And I said, yeah, fuck it. Like, I call my sponsor. He's like, dude, you know, you're going to have to do it eventually. Like, you can handle this. Go do it. And she goes, so we meet up. We have this spot that we meet up. It's like, it's cool. I don't know. I still go there sometimes. We meet up. We talk. It definitely did not go the way she wanted it to go. She was pretty much like, let's get back together. And I was like, hey, I think that's not a good idea. I think we should work on ourselves. I was like, because not only you, like, I know you're going through it right now, but like me too. Like, dude, I was sick. I need to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. Just like jumping right back into this together. And that was not what she was expecting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. When I get in those tough situations, I can be like cold. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to be. I was just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the right thing. But what ends up happening, so we have the conversation. She's pissed. She's pissed. Or upset is the word. I walk away. I walk back to my car and get in. And I'm just like staring at her sitting there for like 10 minutes. And I call my sponsor up. I'm like, what do I do? And like his answer was, she has the same tools that you have. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, how did it go? Did you say what you wanted to say, what you needed to say? I said, yeah. And he said, just go home. And I did. And then I go home. I wake up the next day. I'm like, okay. I didn't, I thought she just went home too. So I go hang out with my friend. I feel so bad for this friend too, because I like literally can't hang out with him to this day because of what happened. We're going fucking paddleboarding. And I'm like, dude, there's something wrong. I feel it. And then I get a call from Britton's roommate, and she's like, you know where Britton is? She didn't come home last night. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, she probably went and got high again. But I didn't think anything happened. I was like, she's probably pissed and fucking didn't want to come home. But then, then I get a call from, I'm sitting waiting to get on a fucking paddleboard. And, and I get a call from her mom. And it's just like, she's gone, she's dead. And that one instance, I play that in my head probably like 10 times. That phone call just fucked me. Like, I can never unhear that. It's tough because by default, I assume a lot of responsibility, like the way it went down. And I've done a lot of therapy since then. And I know, like, rationally that it's not my fault. No one has control over anyone else like that. But it was like it's the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. Hands down.
So, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
Like, and I had a best friend when I was in high school that we never were romantically involved, but we could have been. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things. And we started dabbling in heroin kind of around the same time together. And she partied like I partied. And we were in this phase where we were trying to not do heroin. And we would like go buy a bunch of Coke or go buy a bunch of Xanax or whatever to not do heroin. And the last night we hung out, we took a bunch of Xanax together. And so it's real foggy. But I remember that when I said bye to her, I was mad at her. I couldn't tell you why, but I was mad at her. And she was like, do I even get a hug? And I was like, nah. And I left. And then a couple hours later, I got a phone call from her. She wanted to score some heroin. I was like, no way. Like, I'm asleep. It's 3 a.m. And then she ended up scoring heroin. And the next phone call I got was that she was dead. Yeah. And it fucked me up just, the way
it was that last, like, I play that through my mind all the time. Like, how could I have done that differently?
But it took me like 6 years to really get okay with that. Like, I was like 18 when that happened. So
when did you get sober?
24.
At 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right? It's like, and I
still think about it, I do.
I don't think that's ever going to get better.
No.
I think when it comes to grief and it comes to, and it's so funny, right? Because like the same thing that was like this pivotal, detrimental moment in her life is now the thing that's like the pivotal, detrimental moment in my life.
Yeah.
And it happened with her, and it's like, I could never understand her experience.
Yeah. Right.
I was supportive, but I could never understand. And now I understand.
Yeah.
And I think that might be like a good, thing to like bring it full circle is, there's like a couple things now that I like refuse to compromise on from this experience. Mm-hmm. And that's like compassion for people, right? The one thing that's taught me is you never hide from a situation or fear because it's difficult. Mm-hmm. You never pull back from someone because you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So whether you're pissed off or not, whether things are tough or not, be there for someone in the best way you can, and be there with love, and be there with, it doesn't have to be anything. It just has to be,
just there.
Listen.
Yeah.
Present.
Just say, okay, I get it. I'm here for you. Even if you don't understand. And I am very adamant about living that out in my life today. And that's the life we all live, right? Is like in recovery and in the industry of like helping people too. It's like you meet people that are sick and it's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's hard to show up.
Yeah.
but showing up can save somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy working in this industry. Like, we will all lose more people this year, maybe this month, right?
Yeah.
And it's real easy. I've seen it happen where people start to build like a callus to it, like it doesn't even affect you anymore. And it's a challenge, like, to kind of protect yourself emotionally from it, since we all know it's coming again.
Yeah.
But still stay present and connected and open, and not letting that force you into this like closed off position to being willing to like accept love and support and care about people. Like, it fucking sucks, dude. I've been sober 14 years.
One of the hardest things for me to deal with is when you see somebody and you know it's going to be them, and then it happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's just, there's only so much you can do. Because that happened with, my good friend Justin Enoch. He was just one of those people.
Britain friends.
Yeah, they were all friends. And it was like, every time he would get out and use, it was just like, you knew it
Could be it.
Yeah. And it, when I finally got the call, I was just like, not surprised, but just, it's, it sucks, But,
And this is one thing too that like I am in therapy till like this day, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. Because now when I lose people since Britain, it has a way greater effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to keep helping people.
yeah.
And my initial impulse is to like pull back.
Yeah.
So I have to go to therapy because like overdose is so prevalent nowadays.
It's worse now than it's ever been.
With fentanyl. And it's like, and I meet these people and I love these people. And you grow relationships with everyone, and the shitty truth is some of those people aren't going to make it out of this alive. And you have to witness that, and you have to live that. But it's not a good reason to stop helping people.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right?
Yeah.
all that stuff. The cool thing about recovery is that like every like heartbreaking, difficult, horrible day gives you another way to hopefully help somebody else down the line.
Yeah. And then you get to see the people that make it. And that's...
I get to see you.
Yeah.
The miracles, man. So opposite side of the coin of what I'm talking about, the people who you swear are not going to make
the
it.
ones like you got no shot.
The people who, I will say, I am one of those people. My sponsor, I got to see my sponsor over the weekend. We got to meet. We went to Houston for an NA convention. And, he said it so many times that it became just kind of noise. But he was like, Jason, the last time we were at a convention together, you were like 27 days clean. You couldn't even raise your hand for the 30-day countdown. He's like, and now you have over 6 years. And he was like, him and my mom, I went out to New Jersey at some point. It was like one of the last runs I was on. And I had put myself in some really fucked up situations. And my sponsor, who is my sponsor, like your friend Brian, I believe his name was, like that. He had sponsored me through trying, failing, but he was always there for me. They were on the phone, not people who would pray, and actually praying that I would get locked up because they thought that was the only way that I would
for you.
Get out alive. So, to those people who like, if you have a kid or a loved one who you're like, they're just not going to get it, maybe they
It can
might.
happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
So I hate to be that guy again, but we're way over time.
What was it?
It's
Wait,
time.
Rapid fire
It's
question
It's
time.
rapid fire question
All
time.
right, let's rapid fire question it.
We're gonna lighten it up a little bit with some rapid fire questions.
The heaviest moment on.
No, that was beautiful, man.
Toxicology.
Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah.
But now it's time for some explosions.
Let's do it. Let's just jump right into it.
It's rapid fire question time.
You go first.
Okay,
As a
you're from
eagle
Long
note.
Island.
Yes.
Pete Davidson is from Long Island.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Pete Davidson?
I don't know. I don't care about Pete Davidson.
Nice.
You have a dog who is notoriously known for fighting things and losing
Yeah.
inanimate objects. What was the last thing that Bean fought?
My kitten. I got a kitten. And he lost. Bean has a completely defeated record. Never won a fight in his life.
0 and 1,000.
I've seen him lose a fight to a frog.
You've been given the opportunity to go on tour as the drummer for any boy band in existence. Which boy band do you choose?
I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up.
Damn, man.
Oh, burn!
You have to do the Sex Pistols like that. I don't know. Well, I like One Direction.
One Direction.
That's pretty.
I don't even know if they're a band, but
That's
Harry Styles.
Harry
Yeah,
Styles.
yeah,
is
Harry
there,
Styles
right?
is pretty
He's a
cool. Dude.
He's
gangster.
coming to Austin in a couple days.
Maybe I'll
Yeah.
hop on stage and play some drums with him.
All right. If you were...
Do you have these like scripted out or
No.
No, but we've done so many of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Alright.
steal one that I used to hate when Joseph did it, but then he reworked it.
Okay.
So Ben and Jerry's comes to Jason Amato and
Yeah.
says, you get your own signature flavor.
Yeah.
What's that flavor?
Holy fuck, that's such a hard question to answer.
And it's like, you have to do it right this second.
yeah.
Jerry's going like this, and Ben's going, hurry up.
Bro, what the fuck?
Okay, the flavor's called Bro. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
What goes in Bro? What the fuck?
Bro, what the fudge?
That's good. If they hear this, they might make that.
Yeah.
What goes in it? I have the weirdest.
Let's go.
on.
Don't justify. Just
No,
say it.
I like pickled things.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
So
that's
throw some
big these
olives
days.
in there, dude.
Yes.
Throw little pickles in there. Make it weird.
Kimchi and cheddar
No,
cheese.
I don't like kimchi.
That's where you draw the line.
So okay. Fudge, olives, and pickles
That's it.
with a caramel swirl.
With a caramel swirl. I like some crunchies in there.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right.
some Takis, crushed up Takis.
Fuck.
All right. Last question. What is your go-to band or album for when you're having a tough day?
Excellent question. I have one off the rip. This band means a lot to me. It's I Am the Avalanche. And the album is Avalanche United. And that was with me the whole time I got high, the whole time I got sober. And it's this guy, Vinny, I don't know how to say his name, like Q-Era or something like that. He's from New York. They're like a legendary New York band. The movie Life, if you ever heard of them.
Okay.
And then I'm the Avalanche. Hands down, most important album of my life.
Cool.
I'm gonna listen to it in the car.
Check it
You'll
out.
like
right
it.
now.
I guarantee you'll like it.
All right. So what do you have to say out there? Closing words.
Closing statements from Jason Amato.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. It'd be like inspirational.
Whatever you want.
whatever you want,
You
sure.
can
Now-
plug something.
yeah.
You can drop some
I
recovery
think it should be now
wisdom.
that you brought it up.
Yeah, I would say if we're talking recovery and inspiration, or just mental health and inspiration, just never stop trying and show up to things and just put yourself out there, and eventually you will love your life and you'll have a very full life. But that's it. Just be there.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Never said this before. Or maybe I have. We're going to have a part 2 with this guy.
Oh, you say that shit all the time.
Do I? Okay.
Well, now
I
I'm
always
now
say...
I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, we definitely should.
And then I'm gonna plug my stuff real quick.
Yeah, plug
Yeah.
your stuff.
So I do a lot of work with Atomic Souls Counseling. That is, I'm the executive director over there, and we are the perfect place for an amazing place like Recovery Unplugged, but after Recovery Unplugged, we focus,
Community events.
Yeah, we focus on the long term. We focus on the 6 to year long. We focus on the years 1 to 2, 2 to 3. We are the long term solution, and we love what we do. And then I also I own a company. I'm not used to saying that, called ASP Branding, and we do marketing and we do branding. And I love doing that because I love being creative, and I get to be creative when we do that. And we have a badass team of people.
He is so good at what he does because my partner Gabby works with them, and I get to hear them in meetings. Like I get to hear their Zoom meetings, and like from the day I met Jay, like just a little shy drummer at Recovery Unplugged with a Fred Perry shirt and a Bad Brains tattoo. And, you know, it was hard to even get him to, like, you know, open up. And now he's like a fucking boss. And every time, I think I've said it out loud, too. I'll, like, walk past and I'll be like, listen to fucking Jay killing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's not natural to me still. I'm just like...
And where can people hear some of your music?
That's the last but most important plug that I have is Nolo the band. My brothers, my family.
Some good dudes.
2 Canadians and a guy from Detroit.
Hell yeah, I'm going to make a song called that. Yeah, go on Spotify, go on Apple Music, check out our social medias. They're interesting.
Do you guys have any cool music videos or anything you might find on YouTube?
Yeah, there was this one guy that did a music video for us.
Not the one with the vampires and shit. That one?
It was like this guy, Jacob
Ellis.
Camello.
Jacob Hare.
It was Jacob Camello. No, it was Jason Cabello that did our fucking awesome Vampires music video. Well, it's called Suckers, actually. It used to be called Vampires. So check out that video. And then check out our music. We got a ton of new stuff coming out, too. We're playing shows all the time. We're playing shows downtown on 6th Street. We're playing a show this Friday at Recovery Unplugged. Yeah. We're opening up for comedians.
You play at political events?
We're playing political events. You know?
Well, it sounds like you got 1,000 things going on.
Yeah, and it's almost like when it comes to recovery, there's 1,000 ways in.
And 1,000 ways out.
And we hope you find yours.
Because let me poof out now.
Poof out. All right. Awesome.